If you thought The View couldn't get any worse, then you're in for a surprise, because the ongoing ABC Disney drama is more intense than a soap opera binge on a rainy Sunday. Forget Marvel movies, this is Disney's real-life epic downfall, starring none other than Whoopi Goldberg, George Clooney, Sunny Hostin, and the whole crew of The View. If you think you've seen a blame game before, you haven't seen anything yet. Let's get one thing straight. The ratings at ABC Disney are tanking harder than a rock in a kiddie pool. The View, once ABC's crown jewel for daytime talk, has turned into a verbal Hunger Game, where everyone's fighting to outblame the next person. And the latest villain of choice? Hollywood's golden boy, George Clooney. Yes, Clooney. The suave man who can sell espresso like a wizard and probably charm a squirrel out of a tree. Somehow, he's now the scapegoat for all the woes of 2024.
Actor George Clooney, who co-hosted a campaign fundraiser for President Biden just last month, raising record numbers of money for his re-election campaign, is out now with a New York Times op-ed titled, "I love Joe Biden, but we need a new nominee." He writes in part, quote, "It's devastating to say it, but the Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago at the fundraiser was not the Joe Big Effing Deal Biden of 2010. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate." Clooney says he's a lifelong Democrat and helped President Biden raise more than $30 million at that fundraiser in June.
But before we continue with this whole drama, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the latest news surrounding Hollywood. It all kicked off when Whoopi Goldberg decided to unleash her frustration. Frustration so volcanic, it could light up the Vegas Strip. According to Whoopi, Clooney's political involvement back in June was the first domino that fell, setting off a catastrophic chain of events. In her words, had Mr. Clooney taken a different approach, that was more civil, we wouldn't be sitting here today trying to adjust the facts that we lost.
This isn't just about food.
No, it's not.
This is sometimes people
genetics.
are born genetically larger.
Agreed. I didn't mean to
No,
cut
no,
that
I know
out.
you didn't.
Yeah.
But I want to say this to
RFK?
RFK? That's his name. Because you're setting folks up for shame.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying. Maybe you don't know you're doing. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say you don't know, you don't realize what you do to people when you say stuff like that, because it doesn't work for everybody.
Talk about playing the blame game. Whoopi believes that George Clooney's political wisdom, which apparently carried the weight of the world on its shoulders, derailed everything, as if Clooney were sitting in some secret political control room with a giant red button labeled Doom 2024. Now don't get me wrong, Whoopi's been a Hollywood heavyweight for years, but this meltdown feels like she's been rehearsing for a new role, the queen of misguided finger-pointing. Was George also responsible for gas prices, winter storms, and the cancellation of your favorite show? But Whoopi isn't alone in her quest to find scapegoats. Sunny Hostin, Joy Behar, and the rest of the View table are happily riding the blame train like it's an amusement park attraction. Sunny has chimed in with similar frustrations, insisting that actors like Clooney and Robert De Niro misguided their political efforts and left everyone blindsided by 2024's outcome. Let me pause and ask the question we're all thinking. When did actors become the end-all, be-all of political strategy? I'm no expert, but leaning on George Clooney and Robert De Niro for game-changing advice might have been your first mistake. It's like asking a professional chef to fix your car engine. Sure, they're talented, but are they really the experts you need? And let's not forget the irony here. For years, Hollywood's biggest names have been revered as political influencers. Their speeches at award shows are treated like State of the Union addresses. And now, well, the same celebrities are being tossed under the bus, dragged down the street, and blamed for everything short of global warming. It's brutal.
Climate change is the most fundamental and existential threat to our species. The consequences are unthinkable, and worse, it has the potential to make our planet unlivable. The solutions we seek require all of us to make real changes in the way we live our lives, operate our businesses, and govern our communities. Our future will hold greater prosperity and justice when we are free from the grip of fossil fuels. Now, to get there, we must act.
Here's where things get juicy. Whoopi doesn't stop at Clooney's alleged role in derailing 2024. She takes it up a notch with some theatrical flair, blaming him for creating what she calls a dark and gloomy future. Somewhere, Tim Burton is listening to this speech and taking notes, but the absurdity doesn't stop there. Meanwhile, what's George Clooney doing? Probably sipping a latte, bewildered, while his phone blows up with people asking, "Hey, did you just destroy Disney?" Poor George woke up one day and unknowingly became the Voldemort of Whoopi's political universe. So why the big meltdown at The View? Let's break it down. The word ratings has Disney execs sweating bullets right now. For those of you who haven't been keeping track, ABC Disney has been hemorrhaging viewers like a leaky water balloon. Good Morning America isn't looking so good anymore. Jimmy Kimmel Live is more Jimmy Kimmel sleepy.
And this guy, Donald Trump, all he does is he makes fun of disabled journalists, he calls our veterans prisoners of war, even losers. He insults his opponents, his friends, his family. But if I point out that he's so fat they renamed the plane Air Force Wonder Bread, I'm the bad guy all of a sudden?
And The View? Well, let's just say viewers are tuning out faster than you can say next channel. The truth is, the entire ABC Disney network is in free fall. Lawsuits, scandals, and plummeting viewership have created the perfect storm of chaos. And as the ship sinks, Whoopi Goldberg and company are looking for anyone to blame. Bob Iger, the embattled Disney CEO, isn't blind to the mess. He's out here scrambling to save what's left of ABC Disney's reputation. His latest genius idea? Bringing in opposing voices to balance out The View's agenda. In theory, this sounds like a masterstroke. Appeal to a wider audience, right? Here's the problem. Adding new voices to The View is like putting a fresh coat of paint on a collapsing building. Sure, it might look different for a minute, but the foundation is still crumbling underneath. Viewers have already checked out, and no amount of forced balance will bring them back. Now back to Whoopi, the star of this ratings saga. If you've been paying attention over the past year, you've probably noticed that Whoopi's rants have been getting increasingly unhinged. Week after week, she sounds angrier, louder, and frankly, more frustrated.
I appreciate that people are having a hard time. Me too.
Yeah.
I work for a living. If I had all the money in the world, I would not be here.
At this point, her arguments have more holes than Swiss cheese. And let's not forget her refusal to name the man who won in 2024. She's so outraged that she won't even utter his name, as if saying it will summon him like Beetlejuice. Instead, she cryptically calls him the man who wants to act like a king. It's all very Game of Thrones, except the dragons are just ratings, graphs plummeting towards zero. She even claims this king is trying to silence the media and hand over the entire voice to Elon Musk. You've got to hand it to her. She's managed to connect George Clooney, Robert De Niro, Elon Musk, and political collapse in one breath. It's like conspiracy theory bingo. Here's the real tragedy of all this. Hollywood is turning on itself. Celebrities who were once hailed as heroes are now being painted as villains. George Clooney and Robert De Niro, two of the most iconic actors of our time, are suddenly the bad guys. Meanwhile, the View panel is at each other's throats, throwing blame like hot potatoes. And that's where we are, folks. ABC Disney is a sinking ship. Whoopi Goldberg is on deck, furiously pointing at George Clooney. Sunny Hostin is nodding in agreement, and Joy Behar is probably sipping her coffee, wondering what she's still doing there. The truth is, the chaos at ABC Disney is bigger than any one actor or any one show. It's the culmination of bad decisions, agenda-driven content, and an audience that simply moved on. Blaming George Clooney is a distraction, a way to avoid looking in the mirror and asking the tough questions. Why are people tuning out? What went wrong? So where does this leave us? Whoopi Goldberg will continue her theatrical rants. The View will keep spiraling, and ABC Disney will keep scrambling to patch up the holes in its sinking ship. Meanwhile, George Clooney will go back to being George Clooney, making movies, drinking coffee, and wondering how he became public enemy number one. In the end, this drama is the perfect metaphor for Hollywood's collapse. Big personalities, bigger egos, and an audience that's had enough. The View may not recover, ABC Disney may not rebound, and Whoopi Goldberg may need a new scapegoat when this Clooney storyline fizzles out. Who's next? Tom Hanks? Oprah? The guy who invented toast? Only time will tell. If you guys liked today's video, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.